Hello and welcome to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. Well, the Bihar elections are over, and true to style, Bihar has been more fun, I think, post-elections than the elections themselves, because the results, as you know, threw up a hung house. Till the last minute, there was confusion as to what would happen, and, well, not a hung house, but the NDA got a majority. But there are lots of winners and lots of losers in both camps in these elections. To take a look at the larger impact of these elections, what it means for our national politics, I have joining me a panelist of political analysts, editors, columnists. Joining me on the show is Aarti Jairaj. She's a columnist and a political analyst. Rashid Kidwai, author of 24 Akbar Road. Ashutosh, she's founding editor at Satya.in. Neerja Chaudhary, also a political analyst and columnist. Neerja, I'll begin with you. What is your reaction? You know, you and I have had a whole lot of debate. So how do you see the current result? Were you surprised? Or this is how you thought the BJP would do in the end, manage the election?
I was surprised because, not surprised, but I thought Tejasvi Yadav would make it across the Lakshman Rekha and get a majority. So that he said this side and the NDA managed to get a majority did surprise me, because I thought there was palpable anger against Nitish Kumar, and I thought he would do worse than he has done. As far as the BJP was concerned, their plan was to get more than Nitish Kumar, and they have done it. There is no other reason why Chirag Paswan should have de-linked himself from the NDA. And you know, politics is very strange, Priya. It doesn't run to scripts as you want it to. So here is Chirag Paswan, who wanted to damage Nitish Kumar, managed to do it. But in the end, he managed to get the BJP's tally up. In the end, he is left with one single seat in the assembly. And now he's going to be very dependent on the BJP. Will the BJP give him a berth in the central government? His maneuverability in Bihar is not going to be that much. After all, people who voted for him this time, maybe partly also out of sympathy for Mr. Ramvilas Paswan, will they stick by his side? So he's so much more dependent on the BJP. As for Nitish Kumar, just to make another point, Nitish Kumar, who's been weakened, ironically, paradoxically, is in a strong position today, because the BJP cannot dump him as CM. If the BJP decides to dump him, the way the whole assembly is configured today, he can always go back to the other side, and what's to stop him saying, I will give outside support to Tejasvi Yadav's government. So they don't want to repeat Maharashtra, where Uddhav Thackeray broke ranks, formed a government with the other side. So ironically, you know, look at the way politics has panned out in Bihar. But sorry, you wanted to intervene there.
No, I got that. I was actually wanted to bring in also quickly before I get Aarti in on the Congress. How do you see the Congress role, Neerja?
Congress, I think, is the weakest card in this election, and I think you know, even ML, CPI, ML, or the left together have done better or as well as the Congress, down by so many seats as compared to 2015. And you know, it's a wake-up call for the Congress, because if in Simhanchal and the Muslim-dominated areas, the Muslims have looked with favor to Asaduddin Owaisi's AIMIM, a small party which was part of this so-called Third Front, not expected to form the government, and given the alienation of the Muslims after CAA, NRC, Ayodhya, abrogation of 370, for them to turn for succor to a small party which they feel is standing by them, you know, given their alienation, it says a lot. That means they're losing their faith in the Congress party. The Congress party is not adding the Hindu vote. Upper caste did not come to it as they expected in Bihar. And if it's going to lose out on the minority vote, it's going to fall between many stools. And I think this dilemma, this crisis in the Congress is not going to get resolved unless they have settled their issue of the leadership, which has been hanging fire for so many years. You know, there's a stagnation, there's drift, and it's tragic, I think, for the grand old party of India. So I think there's a message there for the Congress party out of Bihar.
Aarti, the message for the Congress party out of Bihar, do you think, they really need to figure out that leadership issue sooner rather than later now?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think the Congress, although, in this election, Rahul Gandhi was very much in charge in Bihar. And, he did all the campaigning. Nobody else was there. And apparently he had his people there planning the strategies and so on and so forth. So, but the fact is that he is technically not the president of the Congress party. And, from behind the scenes, I think some senior leaders did pull strings to do some very strange ticket distribution, which, I mean, they chose people who had no connection to Bihar, who never been in politics, who haven't worked on the ground. I mean, they were bound to lose. But, there were favors, IOUs being settled, and those tickets were distributed accordingly. So, yes, I mean, I think the single biggest crisis for the Congress today is the leadership issue. And the second is what Neja said. I mean, they were unable to draw in the upper caste vote. The upper caste stuck with the BJP, which is why the BJP's tally is so high. And they were unable to draw in the Muslim vote enough. So basically, what is the vote on the ground for the Congress? It doesn't, seem to have, it doesn't bring very much. So why should anybody tie up with the Congress in future? And if you look at the by-polls also, I mean, Madhya Pradesh, Jyotiraditya Scindia walked out and, his people have done so well. The Congress was hardly able to make a dent despite all the trouble in the BJP ranks at, the ticket distribution to these turncoat Congress MLAs and so on, but the Congress was not able to capitalize on that at all. So, I mean, and that's a state which they had won in 2018. So, there is a problem. I mean, Karnataka, again, by-elections, the BJP won. So, I mean, you look at it, it's not just Bihar, but other states as well, where the Congress is being unable to perform. And, I mean, they need to sort out this leadership issue so that they can get down to other things like organizational issues, some kind of, an ideological thrust for the party, work out a plan, a program to appeal to voters. But that can only be done once a leader is in place. But
this is the problem. Sorry.
Yeah, but I do want to, go back to Nitish Kumar, because I think, he is really emerged. I mean, along with Tejasvi, I think he has also emerged as one of the stories of this Bihar election. Nitish Kumar was gheraud, besieged from all sides. I mean, Tejasvi was going at him, Chirag Paswan was going at him. The BJP, at least local leaders were going at him. They were unhappy with him. I'm not talking about Amit Shah and Modi, but local leaders were unhappy with him. They had wanted the BJP to dump Nitish and go into these elections on their own. Despite that, he has managed to win 43 seats. He has held on to his social alliance of EBCs, Mahadalits. His vote share is roughly 15%, around the same as it was in the 2014 Lok Sabha elections, which he fought alone, which means his social alliance has helped and has held. And the women vote that he has cultivated so assiduously over the last 15 years, that also seems to have stayed with him. So, as Jija said, I mean, he's looking weaker, but paradoxically, he's also stronger, and I think the BJP will have to take Nitish's performance into its calculations, as we proceed, as this government takes shape and starts, governing. I mean, I don't think it's going to be that easy for the BJP to marginalize Nitish as they hope to do. I don't know, Nitish has always been a tricky customer. He's been very, very savvy as a politician. I don't know how many tricks he has up his sleeve today, but it will be very interesting to watch this relationship between the BJP and Nitish Kumar over the next many months.
See, Nitish Kumar, but more than that, the Congress, are we being a bit harsh on the Congress? Because, I was told by some Congress leaders that, maybe we should have got 40 winnable seats instead of 70 unwinnable. We were lumped with a lot of seats where, we didn't have a presence. But isn't that what the leader is supposed to do? He's supposed to negotiate good seats and not come to this explanation at the end of a bad election.
Yeah, first of all, I think it's a very, fashionable and elitist to criticize and blame the Congress whenever anything goes wrong for the opposition. Let's
BJP
face
used to
it,
say this. Now the Congress is saying this.
no, I'm saying on the basis of, certain facts and realities. See, fact of the matter is, if there is anyone who has moved off this election, it is Tejasvi, and because of his inexperience. Had Lalu Yadav been, out of jail and had Sonia being, a healthy person, things would have been slightly better than what they are now. Simply because there were too many people who were in Mahagathbandhan who mattered, like Jitin Majhi's party, that VIP party, the RLSP. They were allowed to go away. And if you look at that seat share, vote share of 25-26% of others, a substantial number of them perhaps could have, stayed with Mahagathbandhan. So there was some element of inexperience that was essentially with the Tejasvi. Congress has not been, a major player in Bihar politics since 1989. This is the reality. The Gandhis have nothing to do with it, because most of it has been, of all that period that, Narasimha Rao era, Sitaram Kesari era, Congress was never revived in Bihar. And Congress was only given the leftover seats. See, it's something that clicks. You look at the number of seats that were given to ML, CPI, ML, CPM and all, there was a criticism of that also. But look, since they have, one major bulk of them, nobody is talking about it. If Mr. Modi's, plan for women and poor was so potent, then why, the ML has got so many seats? This is a question that, political analysts are not responding. So what I'm saying is, it is first past the post system. It's BJP, JDU as one. But the other side has fought equally well and very well, and it's because of some strategic, weaknesses and all, that they are sitting in opposition. The Congress, for all practical purposes, the political leadership is in the hands of Gandhis. Whether Rahul is a Congress president or not, that is immaterial. But whatever Congress could have done, they have done it. They were given leftover seats. They got all the people who they thought is capable of winning, regardless of ideology and all. And just one last point from my side, that you see the rise of MIM in Simanchal, it is very dangerous for, so to say, that secular fabric and that kind of, polity we have, where we negate religion. What is happening, Anija ji was saying, post, CA, anti-CA, pro-CA sentiments, what has happened? If a Hindu right is become very assertive and dominant, so his Muslim right is also trying to, assert itself. And the mainstream, Muslim voter is getting swayed by it. So the Congress is falling between two stools. There is a difference between. So this is the problem of the Congress on the ideological front. It is not able to quote the Hindu right, and it will be failing to quote Muslim right. And this is a problem.
What happens to those who walk in the middle of the road? No, they get run over. I think that's what's happening to the Congress. Okay, Ashutosh, your take on, are we being very harsh in blaming the Congress?
I don't think that Congress is the main story here. The main story is the failing of Mr. Modi as a prime ministerial candidate to get.
Today you're saying failing of Mr. Modi. BJP is going to not be happy with that. Huh?
Yeah, no, let them not be happy. I'm not bothered about them. See, we have to understand this election in a perspective. What is the perspective? Perspective is there are three big political parties in Bihar: RJD, BJP, and the JDU. Whenever the two political parties align, they have an easy run. This is exactly what happened in 2015. This is exactly what happened in 2010 and 2005. Now the issue is this time BJP, which has a colossal leader called Mr. Narendra Modi, and the Nitish Kumar, a charismatic leader in Bihar, aligning together with their collective vote share, that is 24% of the BJP, 16% of the JDU, then Hum and the Sahini. If you add all four, they are easily placed to 42 to 43% vote share. That's the story number one. Story number two, RJD, which last time had only 18% votes, though the biggest numbers, that is 18, Congress has got 6.57% votes. Then if you add left around 3% vote, this comes to how much? something around 29%. So the BJP, the vote percentage, the difference, the relative vote percent deficit was something like 13 to 14% they began with. Now the issue is, when the JDU, BJP, led by Narendra Modi and Nitish Kumar, they could not win election and the difference was 0.03%. Now, how can you call Mr. Modi a winner? How can you call Mr. Nitish Kumar a winner? In the real arithmetic terms, Janata RJD started with a great disadvantage. You're talking about the Congress party.
But Aarti wants to come in on the numbers that I will.
He's already corrected himself.
Let me come to the Congress bit. The Congress has increased its vote share by 3%. Congress has increased its vote share by 3%. In 2015, it has got 6.7%. This time they are sitting somewhere around 9.58 or 9.6%. It is because of the first post pass system that the 0.03% vote is equal to 15 seats. Can you imagine something like this? If 0.03% had been on the other side, and the story could have turned on a different side. Now the issue is, unfortunately, we are so much besotted with Mr. Modi that we always want him to win. Since Karnataka, he has not been able to win a comfortable majority for BJP. Take Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, Haryana, Maharashtra, Jharkhand, Delhi, and now Bihar. 9th state. Nobody's talking about Mr. Modi is no longer a crowd puller. No longer he can win elections for the BJP in assembly election. Why?
Well, if you look at his figures now, and Nija, if you look at the figures now, whether it is by polls, even a state like Telangana, the BJP has made an impact. So somewhere we have to give him the credit. Madhya Pradesh, we talked about him. Bihar, the BJP has emerged as the single largest party despite two strong regional parties. I don't understand this vote share and the calculation that Ashutosh said, but at the end of the day, it is the seats that matter. And the seats have gone the BJP's way. And to a large extent, a lot of people are talking about the center rather than the local leadership when they were voting. Nija.
I want to make just 2-3 points for Ashutosh, just responding and also answering your thing. This election was being held at a time, unprecedented slump of the economy, huge economic distress. Most of all felt in Bihar, lakhs of migrants walking back, as we saw, and casual attitude of the Nitish Kumar government towards them. We have, China is another story, transgression into our territory, which could have led to a huge reaction, a nationalistic reaction against the government having allowed it. We also heard about and talked to people, again, as I said, palpable anger against Nitish Kumar's government, personally against Nitish Kumar. If given all these factors, that this government, after 15 years of anti-incumbency, 15 long years of anti-incumbency, anger and unprecedented economic hardship, can push back defeat. We've got to take note of it. And not only that, it's not a mishmash opposition on the other side. There's a clear leadership on the other side. Tejasvi Yadav, a new star on the horizon, 31-year-old, extension of Lalu Yadav and his politics, smartly moving. And yet they're able to push back defeat. We've got to really introspect. We've got to look more deeply into why this has happened. Whether it's Modi, whether it's women, whether it's Ati Pichhda sticking with Nitish Kumar, whether it's some things in governance he did that people still value despite the anger. I think we need to do a greater, deeper analysis into this.
And Aarti, this, the Modi's credibility still remains intact. I know you can do all the caste numbers and the voting arithmetic, but at the end of the day, one dominant narrative that has come out of the results is that the people still believe in the Prime Minister from all over the country, judging by the by-polls.
Yes, I do agree. I think Modi's credibility does remain. I mean, honestly, as Nija said, this election took place in the backdrop of the epidemic. By the way, that epidemic has claimed Trump. It has claimed Trump's presidency in the United States. But in India, for some reason, Nobody is blaming the Modi government for the harshness of the lockdown, for the fact that there was so many people, lakhs and lakhs of people lost their jobs. They had to walk home because the government had made no provisions for them to run special trains till much later. Despite that, I mean, I think the pandemic was not really, or the government's management of the pandemic or mismanagement of the pandemic was not at the top of the voters' mind. And, maybe voters felt that the government was trying, because unlike Trump in the US, who, dismissed the pandemic and said that, it doesn't exist and, COVID is just, it's a liberal creation and, so on. Over here, people actually saw the government doing something harsh. The measures were very, very harsh. But maybe people felt that the government was trying to do something and they appreciated that. It's like demonetization. People really suffered during demonetization. Their cash disappeared. They had long lines in front of the banks as they went to change their 500 rupee notes and so on. But what was the mood of the people? That the government was trying to root out black money, that the government was trying to, sort of clean up the economy. The BJP is able to get the narrative right. Whatever we may say, whatever we may think, looking at it from the outside, clearly the narrative that the BJP does and, it strikes a chord with people. And we saw that in yesterday's address by the PM, the Prime Minister, at the BJP headquarters. If you saw, he enumerated what all the government had done despite the pandemic, despite COVID. We gave you, broadband, we brought you electricity, we built roads, we did this, we did that.
Master packaging.
Yeah, so he obviously knows what resonates with people. And this is a skill which we have to grant him. And it's a skill which, the opposition must learn too. Yes, I think Tejaswi tried with the jobs promise. And I think that did resonate with the youth. But, maybe he needs a little more experience, more years, to understand exactly how to spin that,
credibility. He still has not been proved.
Yeah. He's only 31. He's got many years ahead of him. But I think that we must not deny this, the skill that Narendra Modi has with voters.
That is, Rashid, that is the problem, because what Rahul Gandhi was saying, he raised a lot of valid issues. I could see myself nodding, whether it was the economy, China. Rahul Gandhi is speaking a lot of sense, but that's the tragedy of a leader, when you speak sense and still people don't believe in you. I think that's his biggest tragedy, that he's saying all the right things, yet he's not able to convince anyone.
Yes, Priya, it happens. It happened during Indira Gandhi era when they were very good and towering leader of opposition. But, nothing worked. There was, from Lohia to, Bajpayee to several others, things didn't click. And it was, people were quite mesmerized by, Indira Gandhi's persona. And the same thing is happening. But here there is a slight difference. Here there is a whole thing, as LK Advani had said, there's a lot of event management is there. The kind of things that are presented, and you see, mainstream media has got sucked into it, and they are the ones. You look at this, the crucial phase of Bihar elections, when Nitish Kumar's before actually campaigning began, when Nitish Kumar's sort of weaknesses could be highlighted, and what we are talking about, the COVID-19 related problems and all. But all that time, space of media, even newspapers, was taken away by Sushant Singh Rajput. It was absolutely non-issue. I can tell you this was perhaps part of a design. And those crucial, couple of months were taken away by this, by whether it's a society for and against that kind of narrative that was non-existent. So I give full marks with a heavy heart, I would say, because it doesn't reflect on reality. The kind of curated narrative is playing havoc with our political system. I'm not taking a moralistic position. Politically, of course, BJP has won, full marks to it, JDU has won. But fact of the matter is that what can opposition do? Can opposition get media support?
That's, I think, Ashutosh, that's
argument. It's not a loser's argument. This is the stark reality. So we are told what to think about. So the primary issues become secondary, as we are saying. You see, the PM's schemes and all working. PM's schemes are working. Then how is it CPI-ML is winning with a much better strike rate. These are the poorest of the poor. But nobody would talk about that contradiction because it is not fashionable.
Good points he's raised, actually. Ashutosh, I agree with him. Maybe PM schemes are not working, but PM's credibility is still working. Whether it's a curated narrative, credibility
Yeah,
built by the narrative.
See, I
This is
think,
also media-created hype.
Priya,
I'm sorry,
I think
Rashid, I have to interrupt.
No,
It's
no.
not just media created.
That's right.
Election numbers are showing it.
That's right.
let me
Ashutosh is also
Deny
given
those
numbers.
election numbers.
see.
Okay, let's get
Priya,
Ashutosh in.
I think we have forgotten. We journalists sometimes have very short memory, very, very short memory. And I have no offense to anybody here on the panel. In the last week of September, everybody was giving that it's a walkover for the JDU and the BJP. Even the opinion polls came out and they were making the BJP. And I had a long chat with the CSDS director, Sanjay Kumar. He said, no. The BJP and JDU will win with far ahead. Will win with big margin. That's the kind of narrative which was there in September last week. But as the election progressed, and let me also put one fact together. That point of time, what everybody was saying, that the Mahagathbandhan has no leader because Lalu Prasad Yadav was not there. There is no coalition because the coalition partners were running away.
Trail.
Yeah, they were running away from the Mahagathbandhan. So a very leaderless, less number of coalition partners, and suddenly this Mahagathbandhan became so potent and so important and so robust that people started believing that they are going to win these elections. Now, we are not going to give any credit to this young boy who in just 20 days turned the election on its head. And we think that Mr. Modi has won. So the fact is we are so mesmerized by this artificially manufactured perception created in the RSS factory that we also start not believing ourselves.
But the numbers, as Aarti says, the numbers tell a different story.
Priya. Now let's get back to the facts. Gujarat, BJP hardly managed to win elections. Karnataka, they could not form the government despite anti-incumbency against them. They could not win Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh. No credit was given to Rahul Gandhi then. Then Haryana, they thought they are going to win with a massive majority. They could not get the majority there. In Jharkhand, they are pretty very happy.
So what is your takeaway? That the Congress...
In Delhi, despite the might of the Amit Shah and the Narendra Modi and the BJP, they get only 8 seats. Was Mr. Modi such a magical figure that he could manage only 8 seats in an urban center like Delhi? And then in Bihar, here is a young boy, had no political baptism, nothing of any sort. And he puts Modi and Nitish Kumar together and shows them the face that how powerful you are and you can't deliver a state like this.
Okay, so I think we'll all agree Tejasvi is the man of the match. Nobody's denying that. But in terms of who is the better team captain, who is better, that we have to give it to the Prime Minister. Whether you say it's, Nitish Kumar was shackled and couldn't come to his full mettle. At the end of the day, it's where the numbers fall that decides. That's, that is the
0.03%, Priya. 0.03% equal to 15 seats.
Then you can argue that the whole system is skewed, but this is the system, so we have to work within the system and find our leaders within this system. Unfortunately, that's the reality.
No, but
Nobody is questioning the winner.
You can't say
Nobody is questioning the winner. It is the process.
Okay, you're questioning the process, but that's at the end of the day, then you have to, the process is here to stay. So we have to find our winners and losers.
That's a much larger debate, Priya. The process system is a much larger debate.
I would agree. But right now, in terms of Bihar, I think we've had, as you can see, the election, even after the election is over, is far from over. But that's it from now. Thank you for watching this show, and we all wish you a very happy Diwali. Thank you.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.